Cara.
And I'm Rex, and we're the Roaming Rountrees, back with our year 2 update.
It's been 2 years already.
It has
I
been
can't believe it.
2 whole years. So we're here to give you an update of what we did in the past year, some highlights, what went right, what went wrong, and some things we learned along the way.
We have been busy this year. We have traveled to 5 continents, 24 different countries, and made 82 amazing stops.
Sounds like a lot.
It was. I'm kind of tired.
I'm really tired.
We took 19 flights, 9 trains, 5 cruises, 8 buses, and I can't even count how many Ubers we took.
A lot.
I guess we could have looked at the app, but we didn't. And we did find our way to skip around the world.
That's right. There's always a way.
There's
Technology has made everything possible.
Everything. And with technology, here's a little video showing you all the different modes of transportation and where we went around the globe.
I love watching these maps each year.
Me too.
So let's get into some of the unbelievable moments we had this year. So, ladies first, what was your favorite?
Oh, there are so many to choose from, but I do have to say, since I love animals so much, the safari was my number 1 pick. I think it was yours too.
It was mine.
Sorry, I stole your thunder. You'll have to come up with another one.
I have a number 2, so, but yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good. But the safari, the things that we saw, I still can't believe we saw all 5 of the big 5.
We did.
I mean, and you can never predict what animals are going to do out in nature, so they never guarantee you're going to see them. And spending 3 weeks out there really helped us get in there and be able to have time and patience and wait for the magic to happen. And it paid off, because at one of our last stops, there was the rhino, and that's the elusive rhino we had been waiting for. So that was pretty spectacular.
Talk about unpredictability. There was a guy that was on our last tour where we finally saw that rhino that we've been waiting 3 weeks for. Mm-hmm. He had just flown in. He had a terrible travel experience. They lost his luggage. He had this mismatch of clothing on that he had to buy at the airport. And But he gets on the safari Jeep with us and he's going out for the day. And that day, we saw all 5 of the big 5 all in one day. So this guy has a terrible travel experience, but he shows up and he just rocks it. I mean, he was a good luck charm for everybody. It was really cool. Not only for us to experience that, but for him to have that story to tell for the rest of his life.
Right. And with him, we were able to see a leopard with a fresh impala kill. We did not see the kill, but we did see the circle of life happening because the leopard needed to get it up into a tree to protect it so that the other animals could not get it from him. So you see him scale this tree and get up into the branches, and he's still not quite sure that that's where he wants to keep it. So then he just effortlessly leapt from one branch across to the other branch, holding this impala dangling from its mouth. I mean, the strength and the grace that leopard took.
Yeah,
it
I don't know exactly how much an impala weighs, but I would guess at least 100 pounds or more. And this thing is just carrying it around in its mouth like it's a,
cotton ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It was nothing.
Super easy for him.
Yeah. The other one is when we came across the 4 male lions enjoying their kill, probably a few hours old. They had taken care of this carcass pretty good, but there's still some meat on it. But they let us come within mere feet of them.
Surprisingly close.
They didn't even care that we were there. They went ahead. Now I'm sure if we got out or decided we wanted to join them for lunch, things would have changed, right?
Yeah.
But because we respected our boundaries and stayed put, we were able to enjoy it. And one of the most profound things about that, not only were we able to hear them talking to each other, didn't quite know what they were saying, but I'm sure we could have.
We don't speak lion.
No, but I'm sure one of them was telling him, "No, I'm not done yet. You go back." And then the other one's like, "No, but I'm hungry now, and you've had your turn." Right? You could see that dynamic happening, and then the sheer roar of the flies within the cavity of that water buffalo.
Wow. Yeah,
it was mind blowing. It was like I would imagine,
buzz, like a beehive buzz.
Yeah.
It was just
the biggest beehive you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then my ultimate favorite part of the entire safari was when we were welcomed into 3 herds of elephant, as if we were an elephant ourselves.
Yeah.
And they all just were at the watering hole. We were at the watering hole. They surrounded us like we were a part of their family. We were so close. The babies would come out and put their little trunks and smell us, and then we were so close that if I reached my hand out the side of the Jeep, we might have been able to touch.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
We weren't allowed to do
No.
that. We were told that
that's bad.
That's the boundary.
Yeah. But at least we were able to feel that. I think I cried for an hour and a half while we sat there because it was just so beautiful. We sat there quietly and just enjoyed the magic of the moment.
And elephants being elephants.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing their thing. They were
scratching their back and their butt, and the babies nursing, and then rolling in the dust and kicking it all. I mean,
yeah,
it was really precious.
It was.
Yeah, and until the one moment where the one elephant with the big, huge tusks decided to say, "I kind of want to be where you're at. Let me go check this out," and lay its tusks right on the hood of the vehicle.
It's another no.
That's a boundary. It's a boundary. So our guide, who was amazing, by the way, a veteran guide who really understands how to read the animals, felt safe with him the entire time, just in his way, told that elephant to back off. It did for maybe 30 seconds until it decided, I'm going to touch that boundary again.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to start the Jeep and get on out of there. So it was disappointing, but, everybody else overstays their welcome sometimes, right?
Yeah, we had a good long time there, so it
did.
wasn't disappointing that we had our time cut short or anything.
Right.
It was just a great experience.
It was. Okay, so you said you have a number 2, so I'm going to kick it back to you. What is your highlight?
Well, since you stole mine, a close second for me would have to be stepping foot in Australia for the first time in our lives. We took a Virgin Voyages cruise all the way to Sydney, Australia, which is a great way to get to Australia, by the way. We weren't jet lagged in the least when we got there. So that long flight that just kills you from a jet lag perspective, we didn't have to deal with that. But sailing in and coming around the bend and seeing the Sydney Harbor, seeing the bridge, that iconic opera house. It's just, you've seen those postcard pictures your entire life. You've seen them on TV and movies and everything, but to just be there and see it with your own eyes and look at it was just, it was one of those pinch me moments for me.
And it's definitely emotionally different. When you see a postcard, it's like, yeah. Or you see it on TV. But when you are actually sailing into it and boom, it's completely across your vision. It's breathtaking and emotional and all kinds of things when you come in. It was really something. I highly recommend going and sailing in.
Yeah, we came in on their newest cruise ship, which cruise line companies don't do that. They never send their latest and greatest ships to Australia. So
Richard Branson did.
Well, he did.
Sir Richard Branson did.
That's right. He did, and that was a big deal. There were news, media folks there with cameras and people welcoming the ship. And the coolest thing, we're on there, we're looking around, you know, having that view of the harbor and everything that I was just talking about. And then all of a sudden, here's this speedboat that's just zipping around the outside of the ship, just taking laps. What is going on there? So as we got a little closer, we realized it's Sir Richard himself. He was in a speedboat, waving at everybody, welcoming us to Australia. And as we pulled in closer to actually dock, he was actually up on top of the Sydney Harbor Bridge as well, waving at us
he had climbed that bridge, which we did a couple days later.
We did that,
which was fantastic.
Another cool thing that we got to do while we were there. But it was just a great experience coming into the harbor and our first landing in Australia. Really cool.
Well, the other thing that was really cool, we were there for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So the very first fireworks of the new year happened in Sydney, Australia. We were so excited to be able to say that we were going to be there. So we planned around it. We had booked our tickets at the Botanical Garden. Beautiful place to see it right there. You got to see the bridge and the opera house and the fireworks.
Yeah, it's a great place to see.
Unbelievable. And we just so happened to be meeting some of our fellow nomads. And that made it so much more special. Come to find out, they had booked the same lawn we did. So we just planned to all meet up, grab sandwiches along the way, just meet there, and we had the best time with them.
Yeah.
So we're so grateful for the fellow nomadic adventurers that we know, and it was great to finally meet you face to face.
Absolutely. We spent a grand total of about 3 months in Australia this past year. And the hospitality and kindness of the people we met there and the people we met before we got there was just amazing. Big shout out to Leonie and Alan and Jen and Pete for opening their homes to us and letting us stay with them while we were there. Even over the holidays, it was just amazing and just a testament to the spirit of Australians and how welcoming and open they are to the rest of the world. It was great.
We met Leonie and Alan and Jen and Pete when we were walking the Camino last year. And we had only met Leonie and Alan for maybe a week. But we had seen them every day, walked, sometimes stayed in the same hostel or albergues with them. So we got to know them a little bit. And then Jen and Pete was later on in the walk. We met them and spent a good day walking with them, had dinner, and they were walking a little bit of a faster pace than we were. So they took off and we only knew them for the day. But both couples said, when you find yourself in Australia, you got to look us up and you got to tell us when you're coming. So we did.
And you know how people do that all the time. Hey, if you're ever in my hometown, look me up and, you know, we'll do stuff together. And
they're secretly going, don't look us up.
Please don't call. I hope I don't ever have to do this. But that wasn't the case here.
No.
We said, are you sure? We're coming. So if you don't mean this, we can get a hotel or something. No, you're staying with us. And we did. And it was wonderful. It was just
we spent a week with Leonie and Alan. Their hospitality, taking us to show us all over where they live. That was really cool. And then we stayed nearly a month with the Jen and Pete, and that was over the holidays. They brought us to their family's Christmas celebration, like and treated us as if we were a part of the family.
Yeah, we were welcomed. It was
incredible. Definitely think the hospitality and the kindness of folks in Australia just really blew my mind.
We met another Australian couple on a different cruise that we were on this past year and said, hey, we're going to be in Australia at such and such a time. And he said, oh, well, I live just outside of Adelaide. Do you like wine? Do we like wine?
We're going to be in Adelaide for a day. And yes, we do.
Yes, we like wine. So one of the premier wine regions in Australia is the Barossa Valley. And he said, I live right by it. So when you're in Adelaide on that stop, let me know and we will come and give you a tour. So Chris picked us up. He had his son drive us around so we could all enjoy wine for the day. And it was such a great experience.
Private tours are nice. But when you have a private tour by someone that lives there and knows the place, and when you already feel like you know that person, it makes for a very, very good day. And that's what that day in Adelaide was.
Yeah.
So thank you, Chris. People like you are what truly makes travel rewarding for us.
Absolutely.
We're so grateful for everything you did. So a few other noteworthy highlights. Our YouTube channel got monetized this year.
Hey!
Thanks to you, all of you. Thanks for watching, supporting, liking, subscribing, sharing. Please keep doing that. We could not have become monetized or continue to grow without all that. And we do really, really appreciate it. So thank you for allowing us to continue to do this and allowing us into your homes to watch. And there's going to be more content on the way.
Yep. Another highlight for the year is another first that we had this past year. We did our first Trusted House Sit.
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
We're part of an organization called Trusted Housesitters. And this is a cool program because it allows people that need a place to stay and people that need to go away but have maybe pets or something around the house, plants that they need to have taken care of. Both of these folks come together and it's mutually beneficial. So we got to stay, we did this in Sacramento, California, which is our former hometown that we lived in for many, many years. We were going back there to visit. And so we applied and got approved for our first house sit.
That was 2 weeks long.
We were there for 2 whole weeks watching a lovely house and this amazing yellow lab named Maverick.
Was adorable.
We fell in love. Back. And if we didn't only have 2 suitcases or 2 carry-ons and 2 backpacks, we might have tried to squeeze him in because we fell in love. But we left him behind and his owner was happy that we did.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. We got to stay there for 2 weeks at no cost. So it was free for us. And Maverick got to stay in his own house with his own things and had a couple of people that spoiled him for 2 weeks. So it was really cool.
And the homeowner didn't have to pay for a dog sitter or a house sitter.
Yeah.
Because they brought us in through this program, and we're definitely going to be doing this more often.
We're going to keep trying as often as we can
for more. And there's some other nomadic adventurers that we follow and that we meet up with that do this regularly, and it offsets their expenses. So it's a really fantastic opportunity. So if you're out there and you need somebody to look after your dog, check out Trusted Housesitters.
That's right.
So of course, not everything was smooth sailing this past year.
No.
We had a few disappointing moments, very stressful moments, some, oh my gosh, are we going to make it out of alive moments, things like that. It reminds us we're human because there's the good comes with the bad and the bad comes with the good. And you've got to kind of roll with both sides of that. Yeah. But we were very disappointed when the cruise line decided they were going to cut our Greenland stops earlier this year. We were supposed to go to Greenland. We had been looking forward for probably years going to Greenland. And they canceled it. And they canceled it after final payment. So we were going to end up going anyway. So it was a little bit of like, That was kind of messed up, but the group that we were going with, they rolled with the punches and just went. We had a fantastic time. We are going to make that up. We do have a Greenland trip booked for 2025, so fingers crossed that cruise line doesn't cancel Greenland.
That's right.
But it's a risk we're taking because we do want to go and see Greenland and get over there.
So. I know people are still stopping there, so maybe it was just our particular cruise. I don't know, but we're going to give it another try.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there was actually another cruise stop that I remember we missed. Split, Croatia.
Oh, yeah.
That was another highlight. Not highlight for us because we didn't go, but we were looking forward to it. We'd heard so many good things about Split. A lot of the nomad community have gone there, lived there. It's just it's a really popular place right now, and unfortunately we had very bad weather that day. There was no question we weren't going to stop, and we were actually okay with the decision because
safety first.
It was raining sideways that day, and we didn't really want to be out and about anyway.
Right.
You know, so these things happen, you know, for all of the great places we've been and seen in gorgeous weather and had, you know, wonderful experiences. Mother Nature sometimes says, "You're not in charge, I am." And so we don't get to go. But that just leaves one more place for us to want to go back to at another time.
Right. We even, on our recent sail up the west coast of Africa, we got a couple of ports denied. So it was interesting and sad. I'm not sure when we'll make it back to those, but if you want to hear more about that, you can check out our video right up there.
That's right.
So the year didn't just have one low light. Unfortunately, there was a couple more than that. So instead of making me look like I'm the complainer that everything's bad, you go next.
Well, the other low light for me is kind of a repeat from last year. We
Oops, again.
We were in jeopardy of overstaying our visa in Australia because we learned something new, that closed loop sailing. So cruises that start and stop in the same city, those don't count as leaving the country. So even though our cruise was taking us to New Zealand and we had a wonderful time there, we fully expected that would count as being out of the country. And we went to New Zealand.
Stamp us out and stamp us back in.
But that was not to be. Because it was a closed loop sailing, we technically never left Australia. And so by doing that, we were going to be about 6 or 8 days, something like that, over our 90-day visa. And so we had to make our second border run in 2 years. We did it last year as well when we same thing with a cruise. I think that might be one of the learnings out of this, but is the Shaken Zone from last year. So, if you recall that one.
We had to flee to Morocco.
We did. We got a trip to Morocco out of it, but we weren't expecting it. This particular time, we had to make a quick flight to New Zealand. We went to Auckland for 2 days right before Christmas. Just so we could make sure that we had our passport stamped and it was official that we left the country and came back in. So everything was right. Everything was legal. We were all good, but it cost us more money than we had expected by having to take that short trip.
And living nomadically, the worst thing that you could do to yourself is getting a black mark on your passport. So overstaying a visa is not something you want on your passport, because traveling as much as we do, that can create havoc in other locations. And we were just really grateful that the nomadic community that we're a part of, we just were all sitting there one day together face to face, and our friends Chris and Steve were having to do a border run as well because they were facing the same thing. They were just they had come in a little bit before us. So thank you so much for Chris and Steve for bringing that up and sharing the information with us so that we could follow suit a couple weeks later and get the heck out of Dodge and make sure that we didn't get black marks on our visa too. So we really appreciate you and all of the different information you've given us while we're on our nomadic adventure. Well, the hits keep coming. We actually had 2 vehicles break down on us while we were out and about. The first one was in Africa, in Senegal. And we had just taken our tour. It was our tour vehicle. There was about 10 of us in the vehicle. Yeah. It was a Jeep We're over sand and things like that, and all of a sudden, just big old clunking noises, and black smoke started billowing out of it.
Black smoke's never good.
Never good. And then in order to get it restarted, which would only stay restarted for like less than a minute, you would have to be pushing the vehicle backwards to try and jump it. It was
trying to start it in reverse.
right.
Because they had lost first and second gear.
Ah, yeah.
This was just a mess, and it wasn't going to be.
They only had reverse and high gears left, and they lost the transmission. So luckily, though, they had already called it in and had sent a rescue vehicle for us, and we were able to continue on. We were not in any danger.
Nah.
Actually, I think that the Senegalese military base was right there too. So we had a couple of vehicles drive by with the armed guards and stuff. Felt totally safe because nothing was going to happen to us with them around.
But they didn't stop to help us.
They didn't stop.
They just drove right on by.
No, they did. They didn't even wave or anything. No. They just really serious. And then the other time I was a little bit more nervous about. We were
also in Africa.
We were on safari heading back to camp. And it was getting dark.
Sun was starting to set.
And all of a sudden the Jeep broke down. And we were like, okay, well, we trust our guide completely, and he didn't seem panicked or anything, so we're trying not to panic, but we need this vehicle to go. And luckily, he's been around the block a few times with this vehicle. He said, we're going to have to go, and we're going to have to go fast, because if this stalls out again or does something, we're going to have more problems. But he was able to pop the hood, tweak a couple of things, get it started.
We don't know what he did, but he got the thing started again.
He could have taken his gum out and stuck it to something.
Probably what he did.
Know.
Who knows?
But it worked. That's all I cared about. So that was another low light, but kind of exciting light at the same time.
Yeah. One of the other things that's starting to become a low light on a regular basis is that we're starting to lose things. I lost a Kindle on a train earlier this year. You know, they always tell you, you hear it 1,000 times when you're on airplanes, please check your seat back pockets for any valuables and blah, blah, blah. You're like, that's never going to be my problem. Well, that was my problem on a train. And didn't realize it till a couple of days later. Hey, where's my Kindle? I don't have your Kindle. You're responsible for your own Kindle. And I looked around, I looked through every bag that we had, and it wasn't to be found. So I realized I left it on the train. You know, the train company has a lost and found link that you could click on, and they'll do their best to try to find it, but it was not meant to be. So Amazon Prime Day, I ordered myself a brand new Kindle that looked very much like the old one that I had, and I was completely happy with.
And whoever sat in 38A,
that's my Kindle.
Congratulations on your new Kindle. I hope you enjoy all the books that were saved on it.
That's right. But I'm not the only one. Cara even lost a pair of shoes this year. Somewhere between, where were we? Washington, D.C. and Pittsburgh. Somewhere in there, there's a pair of her favorite types of shoes that we went all the way to Spain to buy. And now they're just gone. Luckily, when we were there, she bought 2 pairs, so she had a backup.
Yeah. But we're not sure how that happened. It could have been just taken off at loading the car. It could have been left in the room. We called the hotels, everything. They didn't find any shoes, so it doesn't make any sense, but I just had them hanging on my carry-on around the handle and wheeled it out, and somehow between doing that, the car and the next destination, they were not there anymore.
They're gone.
So who knows? And no matter what, neither one of us can really, other than putting them right there, we can't even imagine where they went next.
No.
So
yeah, I mean, and this is slowly becoming a habit, and we hate buying things twice, especially when they were perfectly good before we had to buy them the second time.
Right. I still had plenty of wear in that other pair of shoes. They were pretty new.
I just left an expensive charger at a hotel about a week ago, and luckily we were doing a round trip and we stayed in that same hotel on the way back, and they had found it and I got it back. But this has started to become a problem, and I think this is part of our key learning about the fast travel that we're doing, and just
Yeah.
the more you do this, the more you unpack and repack and unpack and repack, the more likely this is to happen eventually. So I'm sure
it becomes like a habit. Even though you think it becomes a habit, you stop thinking about it. It's like, do you remember how you got from point A to point B driving sometimes?
Right.
And a lot of people go, no, I know I drove there.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember the moments in between driving there. It's because you've done it so many times.
Yeah.
That it's now kind of second nature. Your body's on autopilot. And that's what I think is happening. Now, the train, that wasn't really this, because we weren't expecting, our stop wasn't supposed to be there for 30 more minutes.
Yeah, they'd made up some serious time, and we were surprised that, we have to get off right now.
Yeah, because they said, everybody, this is the last stop. We're like, no, we still have 30 minutes. He was, in the middle of doing something else. So it was all very much, they were kicking us off right then, and we were grabbing our stuff and rushed. But that goes through the fast travel thing too, is when you're trying to get to the next place, or you've got your checkout time, you've got this, you got to make a flight, you got to make a train, whatever it is, we try and bake in as much time to buffer those so that we don't forget. But then there's always something that happens, either a car breaks down, or we got to get off the train makes it to the station early. Right. But, there's always reasons. So this only added to our level of stress with the choices that we made to live nomadically. That was a brand new venture that we did, leaving our good jobs that really we worked, 7 to 10 hours, a day at, we had time off, we had all of these different things to do, and we had each other to come home and confide in about things going on in that day. We left that to live nomadically, which was brand new, to start a travel agency and work together, launch a YouTube channel to tell y'all about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And all of those things took on a life of their own, individually and together. And it was very strange how that happened. And it started getting in the way of who we were individually, who we were married, and really if we liked each other anymore, kind of thing. I mean,
there were days
that we weren't sure where we were going as a couple. We were just so frustrated. We say that the Bickersons showed up. And back in the day when we were, we've been married 25 years.
Yeah.
27 years together. The Bickersons would show up every once in a while, but not a lot. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, they were taking up residence full time in our tiny spaces while we're running around the world nomadically.
Yeah, the constant, like we were just talking about with losing things, the constant travel, the constant check-in and check-out and moving around and dealing with delayed flights and where are the reservations I'm supposed to have? Why didn't you put them in the calendar item? And, all of those things, those were just adding up and we couldn't get away from them. No. And we couldn't just accept it and, oh, okay, that was just a mistake. I'll forgive you and move on. They were just building. And even though we tried to set them aside.
It was only happening. Everything was happening. Yeah. One after another. And and the level of expectations, we'll just take it with the business, with the travel agency, which is great. We started that for a reason. We are our number one clients, after all, living nomadically.
Very loyal.
Very loyal. But we also work with some of you, and we love that. This is our favorite thing. Yeah. And when you think about it, though, coming together to do a business together is different. When we used to work separate jobs, we could come home and make dinner together and look forward to seeing each other and then talk about our miserable day and how our boss was a complete jerk or our coworker was a pain in the ass. We could do all of that to each other. But now it's like we work together. it's really hard for me to sit down and look at him at dinner and go, you know, this guy I work with is a total beep. You know, what do I do with that?
Because I am that guy in this scenario.
Right?
Right?
It's gonna hurt his feelings.
Right. Right.
But we have nobody now to commiserate with, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we lost with
Yeah.
this nomadic lifestyle. We lost that ability to, okay, I just need a girls' night out for her,
Mhm.
or I just need to go hiking with the guys, or go play poker, or
Our
something.
girls and guys
Just
are somewhere else.
Something to get
Yeah.
away from each other. That wasn't possible
And our
because
tiny spaces. The tiny
Yeah.
spaces.
we could go out in the hallway, but that was about it. But we'd still need to be on the same train or the same flight tomorrow. So
Yeah.
there was just no getting away from each other, or having that that time to just decompress and
Right.
and try to recover from it.
Right. And then you add on the nomadic part, that we have to find a place to sleep every single night.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's some groupings where we're in a place for X amount of days, but that's more rare than the constant fast travel we've been doing. And that has been a burden all on its own, right? It's a burden and a choice that we made. So I'm not saying that I wish we
Right.
didn't make that choice. I'm basically saying it was very enlightening to feel that level of pressure.
And the pressure's coming not necessarily, I need a place to sleep tomorrow,
Right.
because we've planned far enough ahead. It's a month, 2, 3 months from now that we're still, okay, have we got all of those things covered?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, it doesn't matter right now, but it does. That's how things fall through the cracks.
Right.
If you don't get them taken care of and get all those boxes checked, then
Right.
one of those days you're going to show up and not have somewhere to sleep because you thought I did it and I thought you took care of
Right.
it. But here we are, luggage and
That's
out
how
on the
we
street.
missed that one train from Melbourne to Sydney.
Yeah.
We were looking up for our tickets, and it's like, we don't have our way back to Sydney to catch our flight.
Yeah.
So we actually had to pay last minute airfare to get tickets. So again, all these key learnings. But when you're fast traveling, there's a lot of things daily that you have to keep track of. And on top of all of the things, it was just it was
Yeah.
it was the Bickersons were just showing up a lot.
We have all those highlights. There were some amazing times this year, but this is the other side to that.
Yeah.
You know, travel isn't always 100% glamorous, and we learned that.
Yeah. And then you throw in the YouTube channel. That was never really supposed to become what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
It started as a mere fluke, kind of a proof of life for our family when we were doing the Camino, because I found it so challenging at the end of a 16-mile day to decide that I'm gonna spend 2 hours writing the blog that I created for this. And one day I just picked up the camera and started shooting what I wanted to say, and it uploaded and I was done, and I had the night to myself.
Yeah.
And we could spend more time together, and I thought, well, this is the way we should do it from now on. And then it went from there to I cara'd it, basically, is what happens, because I love improving, I love learning, I love all of these things. So I started looking out for ways to improve our videos, and how do I make these thumbnails that they're talking about, all these things that I didn't even know about. Just my whole creative world just expanded, and I was loving part of it. But then the YouTube algorithm got a hold of me. It chewed me up and spit me out.
Yeah.
Basically, the sheer amount of content you have to put into YouTube to become successful is just too much for just me, the one person. I mean, he's sitting here, he'll be on camera and do it, but the rest of the stuff to make it to YouTube happens with me.
All the magic happens over there.
And good or bad, because I know not all of our videos are fantastic. I'm hoping they're getting better. But ultimately, my ways and my nature, I wanted it to be better, and I was looking to you guys as somebody that I owed content to. And where I do still believe that, I wanted to switch it around and make it content from us that we thought was valuable for you, and then give you that. But we've, it just became so overwhelming, and doing all of those things. What was it? All work and no play make Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
From The Shining. That's what was happening to me.
Yeah, it was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back, to use another analogy. It was just that overwhelming thing compounding over the top of the other, not overwhelming, but full plate that we had. And then to add this on top of it,
Right.
we just felt like we were drowning.
And this is a huge accomplishment. We are in the top 10 to 15% of all YouTube channels.
Yeah.
That's really, really great. I mean, it's something for us to be proud of. Thank you again so much for watching and getting us there. I just think we're just gonna slow down a little bit, and we have to publish this long form content once a week to continue to make money. I think that's not something that I'm going to kill myself over anymore. No. We want to give you quality and not quantity. So that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
And, I think it's going to help everybody. I mean, I think you'll like us more. I mean, because when we're producing other content, it's like, I think that you can kind of see that the Bickersons showed up every once in a while, and we don't like them either.
No.
Yeah. So we learned a lot. We had a really good conversation with friends of ours, and they called us out. I mean, we thought we were hiding it pretty good. Who we, just kind of keeping the Bickersons a secret.
Yeah.
But I guess we weren't, because over dinner they said something, and holding the mirror up really made us think about that. Because for a while, we were just deciding, we'll keep kicking the can. Oh, whatever. We don't, we'll address this when, one of us presents divorce papers, I guess, because I think we were closer to that than we thought.
Or were delusional and thought that, we'll catch up eventually, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Once we get these videos that are in the queue out, then it'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of our signs should, if was just the amount that we're surprised one of us has lived through this. But, the good news we have, and thank goodness for our very honest and loving friends to say what they were seeing in us as a couple, because they had known us. We've known them for over 25 years.
Yeah.
So they knew us happy.
Mm-hmm.
They've noticed all along the way, and all of a sudden they're seeing this couple that they didn't like.
Yeah.
They said, you guys don't like each other. And it's like, come back when you fix this.
Right.
Kind of thing, right? And we were just blessed with 6 hours of windshield time the very next day.
Yeah, we had a long drive that we had already had scheduled, so it was the perfect opportunity to just rip the Band-Aid off and have that difficult conversation that we hadn't had. We kept putting it off. We kept bickering, but we had never really gotten down to the root of it.
But we decided, okay, let's take the 6 hours and make it a productive 6 hours and let it all out, I guess. We were brutally honest. It was good and ugly at the same time, but we listened. We decided that was the most important thing, and we set some ground rules for the conversation. As listening is the number one thing, because we're not going to be able to hear what the other one is feeling if we're not listening. And as soon as it was about hour 5, we were exhausted. We had stopped, grabbed some food, and then we got back in the car, and pretty much the demeanor had changed. We wanted back where we were before we started this journey.
Yeah.
Because that's who we fell in love with and have been in love with for 27 years. That couple, right? How do we go back to that without giving up our desire and goals of today? And so we're still working on that. Kind of alluded that the YouTube channel we're not going to live to that algorithm anymore. I still want to grow and create quality content and learn that. I think it's valuable and it feeds my creative soul. The travel agency, that's really where we're making our money. So we're going to focus there, because YouTube, it doesn't make that much money.
The return on investment just wasn't there for YouTube. There's so much that goes into preparing, scripting, shooting, editing, all that stuff. There's just so much behind the scenes work that happens with it that, you know,
Yeah.
we put our content out there and maybe 23 people watch it. It's like, well,
And those are the 23 people that we love. So
right.
no, I mean, we love everybody, but those are probably our friends and family.
Right.
And we are very grateful for that. We are putting in endless hours to produce a video that is making money, but it's not making a lot. Now, that's where we decided we're going to refocus, and we're going to focus on the travel business.
Yeah.
And that is making money and it is growing. And with that, there's going to be some cool things coming up later in this video I'll tell you about, and a link down below that you can hit. But there's some cool things we're reinventing part of that so that you can take part.
Hey.
Right? That'd be really, really cool.
Yes.
And we also realized that friends and family and the connection with the people that we love and care about, even, you know, those that we met this year along our journey, when we connect with somebody, we can really connect with people. And we want to be able to see them and spend time. And we need that. Yeah. We also need some alone time, even though, like, you know, you reading a book or whatever is kind of alone. You know, sitting on a plane is alone with other people, but it's not the same. And, you know, I think, you know, he's going to go on a trip with his dad to go fishing, and I'm going to do a travel advisor trip to Costa Rica. We're going to be with different people, having different experiences, something cool and fun and exciting to bring together. And I think that's going to really help. So the roaming Rountrees are still roaming.
We will continue roaming for sure.
And a lot of good things are going to come from this. So I think if you are sitting there married in whatever situation you happen to be in and you're struggling, the Bickersons are showing up at your house. Look inside, talk to each other, be honest with each other, open the doors and just say, look, let's listen. Honesty is the best thing. Communication is number one. If you have invested time in your spouse and you know you love them at one point in time, yes, we all change, but we don't change that drastically. You know, give it a chance. Don't just quit. It's really, really important to invest your time with the person that you love. Okay, can we get out of this bad?
Yes, please.
Woo! Okay, we didn't mean to bring you down. We've got a lot of good stuff coming.
So as we wrap up year 2 of this incredible journey, we want to thank you for being part of our adventures. From the wild safaris of Africa to the stunning sights of Australia, this year has been fantastic.
The people have been amazing, both the old friends and the new friends. Seeing all of you has made this year unforgettable. And from the lessons learned.
Yeah. Every year is an opportunity for growth, and I think we did that this year.
I hope we learned.
We'll find out.
I hope we learned then. Yes.
Check back next year.
We'll let you know. Thanks for joining us on our journey. We are excited for the next year and look forward to sharing it with you. And as I alluded to earlier, we're going to have some opportunities for you to roam with us.
That's right.
Yes. So we've got a link in the description. Click that link, see what works for you, and join us. Wherever we happen to be, there is an opportunity for you to be there too. And we would absolutely love that.
Yeah, come roam with us. We have lots of group rates and discounts and
on cruises and resorts.
That's right. All these places that we are already having plans to go, we're going to open that up. And if you want to come join us, we'd love that.
And be sure to bookmark that page and check it often, because we will update it whenever we have new opportunities for you to join us. Below in the description, we also have a link to our Facebook page. Whenever we go to a new city, we're going to post that we'll be there. And if you're in that city, let's get together for a cup of coffee or a lunch or glass of wine in the evening, whatever works for you. But if you happen to be there, say something. So when you go to our Facebook page, please like and follow that page for meetup information as we continue to roam around.
And on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with us. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your loyalty, and we look forward to sharing more of our adventures with you in year 3. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, my brain went, there was no words at all in my head.
Welcome to my brain. Words? I have no words.
Here's a little video showing you all of these different modes of transportation. Well, the hits keep